Here to talk about that, Dr. Eytan Cohen Yanarocak is a Turkey expert at the Moshe Dayan Center at Tel Aviv University. Welcome, Eytan. It's good to see you as always. Let's talk about these strikes last week, then, last Wednesday. Yeah. I mean, is there any use? Because Turkey is already very much militarily entrenched in Syria, isn't it?
Indeed. After the fall of Assad, we can say that Turkey successfully replaced Iran and Russia. Turkey became the new patron in Syria, and we are seeing also militarily, but also in civil terms, Turkey is penetrating into Syria, and we can see the Turkish dominance almost everywhere. Many of the Syrian government ministers are, they have an affinity to Turkey, or they know the Turkish language, or they are Turkish citizens, or they took shelter during the civil war in Turkey. So we can definitely see the Turkish influence, and let me also remind you the bilateral visits of the Syrian officials in Turkey and the Turkish officials in Syria. It's very obvious, and we are seeing it. It's there. The Turkish presence in Syria is there, and therefore Israel is seeing this in a very skeptical manner, given also President Erdogan's very hard statements against the state of Israel. He called for the destruction of the state of Israel. That was his wish from God during the celebrations of Ramadan, Eid al-Fitr, right? And therefore Israel cannot pretend that nothing was said, and when we are seeing the Turkish penetration in Syria and their intention to take the control of these air bases, of course, Israel sees that as a potential threat.
Right, because there were these 3 air bases where,
Hama, T4 and Palmyra.
Right, and the Turkish military is hoping to set up a joint defence pact with Syria. Yes. They say they want to help them defeat threats from ISIS and other terrorist groups.
This ISIS thing is the new fig leaf. When you're saying that we are, acting against ISIS, that you're legitimizing all of your actions. But it's broader than that. In the beginning of March, we began to see the Turks are now trying to form a new alliance in Jordan, together with the Jordanians, Syrians, Iraqis, and the Lebanese. Again, with the same excuse to have a common command base together, a joint command base, together with all these countries.
There's an American air base in that region
seemingly against ISIS.
Yes.
Okay, so that the U.S. and other international actors may not intervene in the Middle East. This is this is their excuse. This is how they market the things. But how I see the things is Turkey is besieging the state of Israel. And also, I would like to make a very important comment here. Right after Eid al-Fitr, Mr. Erdogan called his Egyptian counterpart, and he said that he wants to coordinate all of Egypt's and Turkey's moves inside the Middle East. He's paving the way also to add Egypt into that particular alliance. And therefore, Israel would be really besieged also from south.
So Israel's just finishing up with a Shia alliance against it. Is now looking at a Sunni
alliance, definitely.
Okay. Let me bring in Balia Sladin, our diplomatic affairs editor, because this is all, of course, of great concern to Israel, isn't it? I mean, Turkey is a major military power, the second biggest army in NATO, and Israel is clear it's not going to give up those strategic points that it took shortly after the fall of Assad.
Yes, definitely. You just mentioned NATO. Today, Netanyahu is making his way to D.C., and he's going to discuss exactly that. A source in the White House told I-24 News that regional security and trade, of course, is going to be the main topics that are going to be discussed in the Oval Office. And, of course, regional security, that's including Turkey. There is an Israeli concern of the Turkish presence in Syria. As mentioned here, they took the Iranian place in Syria right now, and that's exactly the Israeli concern. But there are more statements that are very interesting by this Israeli official. They are saying, of course, that we don't want any confrontation with Turkey, but we will not let the Turks be or create any naval base, any aerial base, or any base on the land in Syria, specifically in the southern part, Dar'a, of course, the other parts, Qnetre and Suwaida as well. Mentioning Suwaida right now, this Israeli official did not rule out any Druze military militia controlling that area in the south. We remember that Netanyahu spoke about the fact that Israel will not let any of HTS forces be in the south of Syria. They want that part to be dismantled completely, no weapons in it, but they did not rule out a Druze militia controlling that part of Syria, which is also an interesting thing to say.
Right, yes, Israel has said it wants to protect the Jews of Syria. But Eytan, I want to ask you, is it inevitable there will be a confrontation between Israel and Turkey in Syria?
Well, let's hope that this will never happen. Okay, this is a very unwanted scenario. And therefore now Israel is doing its best to stop Turkey, to send a clear message to Ankara.
In a pretty aggressive way, it has to be said.
What did you say?
In a pretty aggressive way.
In a pretty aggressive way, because unfortunately we are in the Middle East and we are speaking the language of the region. This is unfortunately violence, right? And besides that, I think this whole trip to the White House of Benjamin Netanyahu, that he is going to speak about economy. Yes, he's going to speak about economy, but he will also speak about stopping Turkey's ambitions. And besides that, in my opinion, in a very,
do you think
inevitably he will going to speak also about the F-35 issue.
Those are the jet planes that America will sell to Turkey.
Yes, but now the Turks are trying to get the approval of the American administration to come back to the F-35 program. Mm-hmm. And Israel, in my opinion, should do everything possible to stop that, because now Israel has, air superiority.
And but that would change it. That's Eytan, we're out of time, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Eytan and Balia, thank you both. We're going to